Hey, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Shark Nation. Today, we've got a guest who's been at the very, very top of our list, the number one coach for leaders in the real estate industry. He's added billions in sales volume, as well as built multiple seven-figure businesses himself. So, welcome to the show today, Mr. Jon Cheplak.
Thanks, dudes. Great to be with you, man. Excited to hang out.
Hey, Jon, we appreciate you jumping on the call. Kind of stealing you from a little bit of a Christmas break, so we appreciate you taking the time. On your webinars and some of your live events, you mentioned the book A Billion Dollar Coach with Bill Campbell, right? So for people that don't know, Bill was like the coach for Silicon Valley's like best companies, Apple, Google, Amazon. He was with Jeff Bezos. Do you see yourself kind of in that similar role with some of the multiple companies that you run with as a coaching figure to them?
Well, I would, I don't know that I can compare myself to someone at that level. That's for sure. What I do is, and I'm a product of all those people that have gone before me. What I would say is, though, I really truly do align to his philosophy, and not to say that I knew it before I had read the book, but it had been passed on to me, a lot of him stylistically, and it's very, very interesting. And you guys know this. We can open up, anyone's listening or watching, you can open up almost any self-help personal development book, and about the first 5 minutes in, it's very, very similar. There are only some basic core fundamentals, but the one core fundamental where I would say, yes, I'm similar in a belief. I would never compare accomplishments, but in a belief system and a philosophy, and what I really strive for is the understanding that to really move big numbers in an organization is you've got to move people. And the first thing that you've got to move is into an understanding of what's really important to them in their personal lives. I mean, a lot of it's said that, we're a family and we're a tribe and we're a village and we're a community, and a lot of it's very surface. But I truly believe in the ability to get underneath and understand what's important to people. I believe in everyone in the community, whether it's a business or a company, whatever it may be, is everyone knowing what's important to other people. Also, as you expand away from, in my coaching, it's important that I know what's important to people. But as I coach those people, and I was on with a 1,000+ transaction closing team on a coaching call right before we jumped on here, and we spent most of the time focused on that personal aspect of things. So one of the things he does at the beginning of, for anyone who's read the book, this, is he calls it the road trip. And the road trip is at the beginning of every single business meeting. They go around the horn, and every single person at that table shares the one personal thing that they did over the weekend that they really enjoyed and they were proud of, and things like that. So yes, I do align philosophically 100%. I can't say 100% because we're all a little bit different, but most definitely. Because the thing that I've learned too is I always thought it was in business. And listen, I go hard and I go heavy and I charge at it, but it was, work hard, which I do work hard, and just charge at things. But it's this thing of, and then who's got the best strategy or tactic, and, and working close with Dean Graziosi for the last 18 months, the one thing he says all the time too is it's emotions first and strategy and tactic second. So long answer to your short question, but yeah.
No, love it. I see a lot of your traits within him as you're in the back of the room at a lot of your courses and everything else, and you're sitting there and you're listening, and then you get out and then you take the action and then implement on what people are talking. So now, very interesting to see, and I definitely highly recommend the book if anybody hasn't read it yet. $1 Trillion Coach. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, really good.
So, yeah, you coached a lot of leaders. I think that's the biggest thing I noticed personally with you is the actual leadership coaching. I don't know that I've seen enough, or at least enough proper leadership coaching. It's a totally different skill set, and I think it's something I don't think a lot of team leaders realize they need, even though it's in the title of team leader. I know I didn't realize, it's just at the beginning it was I had too many leads, and I needed to do something. But what, so if you're on a coaching call with a team leader and they're getting pulled in all these different directions, the shiny object syndrome, I'm curious, like, what is, not even just shiny object, but just not staying focused in one lane? Like, what is your go-to tool or way to pull them back in and keep them focused on the main mission?
Sure. It comes back to what I was taught in 1995. I mean, before you guys were born. When I first got into leadership, it was that, and I'll debate it with anyone on stage or head to head, is that recruiting solves all problems, period. And a discussion. You've got a commission split issue. You got a profitability issue. You have a mutiny. A bunch of agents are recruiting solves all problems. And so that's number one. And because if you take a real close look at it, so watch this. I can't get my agents to make calls. Okay, great. You got the wrong, hold them accountable. Well, if I hold them accountable, they'll leave. Okay, great. So I can't get a seller to reduce his price. Okay, we'll hold him accountable to the price. Well, but if I do that, he'll cancel the listing. And that's where the big light switch goes on. Because I could do that with a seller. Because guess what? When I leave that appointment, I'm going to go knock 100 doors and I will dial 100 cold calls from the calls directory like I used to do. And I hit the expireds in the morning. So I was constantly prospecting, and not to dehumanize real estate agents, but for the context of leadership coaching and training and understanding, is that you've got to have an alignment to it philosophically, and see that it's the same with listings, right? Powerhouse listing agents that prospect all the time and market all the time, they're not going to take shit from a seller. They're just not. And a leader that prospects all the time for great agents while giving someone the best opportunity. I'm not talking about churn burn through buyers and sellers. I'm not talking about churn burn through agents. I'm talking about giving that buyer or that seller that best opportunity to get their home sold, being absolutely honest with them and not wasting each other's time if we're not aligned to it, right? And not being emotionally attached to it. Well, it's the same thing that happens with leaders. So, my number one go-to, rarely have I seen a leader who has a problem in their organization, whether it's profitability or, it shows up, and I'll give you some examples, but where that I go back and say, great, tell me how your recruiting is. Well, like it is 99.9% of the time. Now, where can someone come to me and say, we're recruiting our ass off, we're crushing it? Well, yeah, but you're dropping your pants. You're giving away the farm. And so really two big things, if I were to look at, is number one, recruiting. Okay, well, we are recruiting. Then the next place that I go to is, okay, let's look at cost of goods sold. Because if you look at situations, certainly as you look at that, people are in the messy middle and they're trying to decide, okay, I'm at the point of, do I want a listing presentation or do I interview an agent? I got to make money, those type of things. But when you look real closely at it, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to A, are you recruiting? B, where are your commission splits at? Are you giving away the farm? Because outside of that, you can have the best COO, you can have the best leads, you can have the best tech platform, you can have the best of everything. It means nothing if you're not recruiting, because guess what? There's 30% attrition rate minimum. We've seen higher over the last year. Okay, last 2 years, really. So for me, it always just comes back to, are you doing the basic core fundamentals of your job on a daily basis? Period. And so it's, and listen, I've had people with me 8 and 9 years, and we're talking mega team leaders. And I just got a message from Jessica Boswell, who's in Reside. Shameless plug, I guess. And she said, and she sent me a screenshot. And she said, this was one of the initial trainings I bought from her. I was in a tie. I was in a studio in a suit. She said, the only thing that changed is you had a lava lamp and you dressed different back then. She said you were saying the same thing over and over again. And so really what it comes down to is simplicity, bringing it back to it. But the point I was making with is that we don't need to learn more. We need to be reminded more. And so a lot of times it'll come back to where, I had someone that grew massively in the last year, and you know, people invest 100,000 a year for one-on-one coaching with me, $2,000 for a 20-minute call once a week. It's public, it's known, and that person said to me, "I'm so appreciative that you had the guts," and this is a lesson for leaders too, that you had the guts to discuss the same subject every call and not move off from it. Because literally, this person would come on calls, go, "Here we are again." I go, "Yeah, we are, and I'm staying here. I will take the risk of you thinking I need to tell you more." So it's that willingness. So that's part of it too. That's a mindset thing too. That's where mindset gets into leadership training and coaching. Is that, am I an entertainer? And that's kind of an extreme way to describe it. Am I an entertainer? And just like we've got the reside call afterwards, am I going to come with, you know, our horseshoes and unicorns going to be flying through the air? No. Are you going to hear it? Have you heard it before? Yep. And so I think the real piece is identifying as a leader what works. Okay. Same thing with me. I know what works. Leaders know what works. Okay. And then really sitting with yourself and saying, "Listen, I'm not in a popularity contest. I'm in a get results contest. And my job is to stick to, and if people want, well, tell me something different. Tell me something different." Well, okay, you want me to make something up? Just so you know, I'm doing this for entertainment purposes. And as long as you're willing to pay me for entertainment, this doesn't get the main result. So that's really what I always come back to. And so it's coupled with that, but then that mindset and philosophy, because here's the last thing I'll share with you on it. It's very, very interesting. And you guys have heard me say this before. Let's say the average real estate transaction is $10,000 commission. You know, okay, great. I got $1 million average price. Okay, great. Your average commission is 25,000. Average is 10 grand. Look at the dollars spent, the staffing, the tech, the amount of resource that's put towards 10 grand. What if we put the same execution, action, investment in one recruit? That literally, I have multiple teams where the life of a recruit with a team, 1 year, even some, you know, the agent does 2 million, the team retains $1 million. But 1 year, 2 year, 3 or 4 or 5 year, where they've retained $1 million in retained dollars from the agent. But the amount of financial resource and human resource applied to it is just so small. So that's my go-to is always going to be that. I'm a broken record, man.
For 2025, one of my big focuses is the same exact thing, keeping it simple, going back to the basics. Like I said, when I was first doing my team trainings and team meetings, you know, you think that you have to be like Jerry Seinfeld on stage and all these theatricals and stuff. And then, you know, having one-on-ones with the team, they're like, go back to the basics. Just keep repeating the same messages. So, you know, different people at different places. Some people, when they're there, they get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, you know, sitting here, I'm always thinking about what I can share, and I share from my thoughts because my purpose is to serve and support people to grow their business. And, you know, one of the things I was thinking about is I'm not excited about 2025. And I'll tell you why I'm not excited. I wasn't excited about 24. I wasn't excited about 23. It's nothing new to me. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. Now, the results that I get to experience in my personal life are beyond what I ever could have thought. I mean, I'm sitting out here at a farm. I mean, my goodness, which is a weekend home that I have. And I mean, I just sit in gratitude and amazement, and those things excite me. But the reason I am able to do the things that you know, the joy of watching my wife out there with her little girl and the horses and all these, you know, just people around me that I really love and care for, experiencing their life at the highest levels, because I don't really get to accept. My wife teases me. She says, "Okay, Mr. Serious," because my she's serious, and she's a businesswoman. She crushed it this year. But she's got this great fun spirit, and I'm level, man. I just keep it level. And you know what I'm going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do in 2025. And I grew like crazy in 24. And I share my story because I do the same thing that you guys all do. Is I'm gonna do the same thing that I did last year, but I'm gonna execute in the places I didn't execute as consistently, okay, as I know I could have, and at a higher level, because every year I get a little bit better at something instead of being distracted by stuff that sounds sexy or neat.
Mm. So those who are getting the bigger results or the top results, do you think, what do you think is the basic that separates them from those who are maybe putting in the same hours but not, efficiently and effectively?
Sure.
What separates the two?
Yeah, they're trying to be a CEO, right? Well, this CEO manually, personally texts people.
Mm.
Doesn't have an assistant that everything needs to go through. And people can argue against me all they want. And please don't take this as ego. Fine, argue with me. I'll show you my P&L. Show me yours. Show me what you added in profit last year, and I'll show you mine. I mean, really, I think it's too much of this playing CEO. I think it is getting too far away from it. It was beautiful. It was a great moment for me. April a year ago, I was in day one of a mastermind. I jumped in with Dean Graciosi that I'm in annual one, and now I'm in two with him. And what he said on day one is he opened up and he talked about his morning. He lives in Phoenix, and here's a guy that called me up a couple of months ago, say, "Hey, I'm taking the jet over to this mastermind. Do you want to jump on with me?" A guy that he's Tony Robbins' partner. I mean, come on. He can pay people to do a lot of things and does people do a lot of things. But he said, yeah, I went for my normal hike that I go on and looked at my social media posts and I rewrote them and wrote an email. Well, Dean is an expert copywriter. He's an expert salesman. And this guy can pay the best copywriters, which he does do. Okay. But the one thing that came out that was so refreshing, because the one thing, it's always nice to get reassurance. And a lot of what you guys will get is reassurance. Okay. Yeah, we hear something new, we get reassurance. But he said straight up, 60% of your time should be spent in your core competency. A gentleman that was on the call with before you guys, 1,000 transaction team is going to, I think he'll get 1,300. He's shooting for 2,000 this year, and 100 agents. He says, okay, what should I be doing? I said, what are you best at? Recruiting. I said, good. You're the recruiter. You're the recruiter. And actually, every leader should be the recruiter, because you could be a shitty recruiter, but your credibility and your authority in the marketplace as that, because you guys know our industry it's really weird. Like doctors, okay, great. But like, sure, there's a few, but the garbage man isn't a celebrity, or the contractors, like our industry, everyone's trying to be a celebrity, right? And that's how it's seen. That's how the consumer sees. Maybe the consumer doesn't see it as much, but there's so much of that, that goes on. Here's the point. The point is that to our peers, people really look, oh, wow, that's a team that does 500 transactions. Oh my gosh, that individual agent went from selling 100 homes a year, right? 100 homes a year to she's only selling 20 and has this rock star bill. Oh, I want to do that. I want to do that, and so, I've had leaders who say, I'm a terrible recruiter. I said, you're going to pick up the phone. Oh my God, I can't believe how happy people were to hear from me.
Did it today.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it is, leaders got too far away from the business. They put too many things in the business. Do you need leverage and do you need tools? Yeah, I sell them and they work, but they're only to augment, they're to fill the holes, not to do the work that human beings, naturally you're going to miss. You're going to have some holes in it. So it's getting too far away from the core fundamentals of the business. I still post. No one believes it. I post every social media post. I write every single email. I will to the end of time. I still do coaching calls. And again, I hope it for listeners, I don't have to work for the next 30 years, 30 or 40 years, really. And I can live this lifestyle I have right now, no problem. I mean, probably beyond. But yet, guess what I do? I do 65 coaching calls. Oh, you're trading hours for dollars. I mean, my other businesses make money. Well, you've got to stay with the core fundamental, where your core fundamentals are core fundamentals of the business, but you got to stick with your core competency, and everything builds on it.
Yeah, I definitely picked that up from you.
Yeah, I was going to say your multi-channel marketing machine. Do you want to touch on that? Because I think that, like you just hammered it. You are the one that's writing all your posts, sending all your emails, and you have it dialed in, and you give that away to everybody at pretty much every Zoom or event that you have, and it's like, here, just follow these principles.
I mean, Suneet, that's what I love about Suneet, and that's why Suneet is who he is. You know, Suneet came on coaching with me 6 years ago. What do? This. He did it. Closed $1 billion. I mean, listen, I didn't make him close $1 billion, but okay, the guy recruits over 100 agents a year. I mean, so many people have seen it over and over and over again. And all it is, it's, you know, it's that term omnipresent and not being attached to, oh my gosh, am I posting too much? And am I annoying people? But really what it is picking 3 channels: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And my YouTube's not even average at best. I don't even know. And I love saying this. I mean, yeah, I coach CEOs of the largest companies in the world. And you know what? I don't even understand YouTube that much. I don't have to. I have to understand what I do best. But it's simply taking an educational, informational piece of content, and it's really 4 channels. And you move it to your personal Facebook page. You send it to Instagram. You send it, and if it's a video, you put it on YouTube and you email it. Now, look, like the big step for people, and I know it's a huge step for people because tens of thousands have been exposed to it now. But so few do it, is that even once a week, people won't do it. Heck, I'm doing it 2 and 3 times a week, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. Email goes out 3 times. I think my world record for emails for a day was 5 emails, and they all stayed above 45% open rate to audience of, I've got 14,000 people opted in. I don't have big databases like a lot of big teams, but I have the right database. I have the people that have opted in that are on my avatar, and that's where you can get away with that type of stuff. So yeah, that's just simply, it's something educational information and being relational, not transactional, and operate purely in contribution. And waking up every day obsessed with how can I give something to my audience that will impact their business and or their life. That's it. If you wake up and do that, I mean, really. And I think the challenge is people are so transactional that they go, what's my ROI? What's my this? What's my this? What's my this? They're so analyzing. And here's the thing that is proven. If you do something over and over again and you recognize what's working, what's not working, you see some good results. I love this thing. Oh, you're copying. Everyone's copied everyone. If you see someone doing something over and over and over again, it must be working. Okay, great. So grab from it. Everyone rips off and deploys. But I think the greatest challenge people have is things get a little bit tougher. It doesn't happen soon enough. They think it doesn't work. And we keep proving it again. I mean, we did it with 3 startup business this year. 3. I mean, our mortgage business that we launched in May is at 99.4 million. I just posted my stories today. I think we'll hit 100 million in a startup. I basically grew a team. That's what I loved about doing it is, oh, you're a coach, you coach because you can't do it. No, I've done it and I just did it. But watch this, easy home search. But what are we doing? We're using those same principles. You see Preston doing it, right? I mean, it's the same principle. So it's just, I mean, really coming back to that's what the multi-channel marketing machine is. It works for consumers. It works for recruits. It works for all my different businesses that I've launched, and that's all we do. Now the podcasting, though, what I would say, and I love what you guys. I mean, I want to listen. I want to tip my hat to you. I mean, it's so crazy how few leaders do podcasts. I mean, if you look at the amount of leaders that are out there, that's a great tool too. Because then you just and now, so here's what you're doing. And hopefully our time is spent is valuable and you get to share it with your audience and hey, thanks. I'd heard that before, but need to hear it again. Or hey, that was something new. Well, that's goodwill to the market, and goodwill builds a brand. And when you build a brand, you're unstoppable. You open a mortgage company when 60% of the people leave the mortgage industry and go from 0 to 100 million that year. Who does that? A brand.
That's it. Yeah, it's funny. Well, yeah, I mean, I think about Hermosi reading some of his stuff where he had said he ignored the power of brand for so long, but then acknowledging the fact that celebrities could just launch a liquor and it was just flying off the shelves, like he's battling uphill without it.
Yeah, I mean, he looked at Kim Kardashian,
right?
And said, or or no, who's the Jenner? Was it
The youngest one.
Kylie Jenner?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
She's a billionaire. She worth $1 billion. And he went, duh. She built a brand.
Yeah, and it's so easy today with technology and what we can do now.
Come on, I'm a tatted up buff dude that knows real estate that people can judge, and I speak real clear, and a lot of people may think he's really a jerk or this or that. Yet it's very interesting. The people that want a truthful message, that see someone that's committed, that's consistent. Your brand doesn't have to be a certain way it's acceptable. Your brand needs to be a way that it communicates to your audience and what you want to accomplish and the challenges you want to solve, the problems you want to solve for people. Simple.
So with all your different business ventures, right? We have coaching, we have building team leaders with Reside, we have Easy Home Search for lead generation, we have the mortgage. You stick to your lanes, right? How do you know when it's time to kind of open up a new venture, or it's not shiny object syndrome and you
Really
should
good.
stay the course?
Yeah, sure. When because I get approached. I mean, I've been approached on some really, really good things. That's this. There's a couple secrets to why I still do. People would say, okay, yeah, you can do math and say, well, of course I do one-on-one coaching calls, 65. I don't have to. I make plenty of money in my other businesses. I'm just fortunate that it's at a fee that is good. Now, clients have to get an ROI on that. But here's what I look at. I stay in the trenches so I stay crisp. But I also stay in the trenches so I can hear what the challenges and frustrations are and where the gaps are. So product creation, the best product creation or business creation is based on where the biggest challenges or frustrations are for people. So for me, there was Cheplak Live. Well, then people want a little bit more specific. They want to drill down more. So then I took the brilliance of Nick in onboarding, Preston online lead gen, Sanit recruiting. So then I started creating these courses because I heard from my clients what they wanted more of, right? They wanted more. Well, what exactly, how do you do this? What exactly? So my quick answer is listen closely what the consumer needs and wants and what their challenges are. And then make sure though that you can, not you don't have to personally be the creator of it, but then make sure that you can bring something forward that is tested and proven and can get a result. So, gosh, we've done onboarding courses, agent training courses, listing courses, buyer courses, white glove courses, AI courses. We've got a recruiting one now going on that's a done for you. We've done operations. So it comes from the need of my clients, like and hearing what is needed. And I'll just be very honest. What I want to do is something that is really going to transform people's lives, period, and or business. That is highly profitable and doesn't require a whole bunch of my time. That's where it's at. But initially, time was less of an issue. So it was purely, I left out one other element too, purely is this a problem that needs to be solved? That's number one. Number two, the bringing forward the solution with someone who's not just skilled in it, and no one's perfect, but someone who is a really, really good human being and is striving to be the best they can be every single day in their life. And so that's how I do that today. I don't want to say never right now, but right now, probably I may, and I haven't decided. It's not December 31st yet at midnight, but I most likely will take on, and I don't think it matters how good it is. I will not take on anything else. I mean, I've got my coaching, my coach's coach. I've got Reside. I have Digital Maverick, which is our ISA VA company. We've got Easy Home Search, and we've got Mortgage, and I've got Cheplak Live Wellness. This is that point where I think this comes back to now. It comes to the point where, listen, Could something come my way that I can make 7 figures on? And some of them hit multi 7 figures in first year. 1, 2, well, 3 of them did. Okay. Could something come to me and look like it could make it? I would say probably and make that type of money. I would say probably this year I'd say no. I already said no to 1. I would say no and go deeper, because at the same time too, you got to look at it as you start building asset values too. An asset value in Digital Maverick, asset value in Reside, asset value. I mean, I'm 58, but I'm like 28 in my energy, so I ain't looking to sell something. But there comes a point though now, after you make those decisions, to really, how can I enhance the experience for the Reside client? How can I enhance the experience for the easy home search, for the Digital Maverick, and for the mortgage? So that's how I come to that decisioning point. And then also there comes a point where you got to say, enough is enough, for me anyways.
Yeah, I want to come back to where we were talking about people automating themselves out of the business and staying out of their core competency. And yeah, I think there's an idolization on sitting on the beach and making money, like, in today's culture. And I've definitely heard a lot from you, about valuing the work, and the hard work. I mean, you're shoveling poop at the farm, right?
Yeah. I've got one more pasture to do. It rained, and so my wife said, you can't go out there in our 4-wheeler little mini diesel truck. You got to take the wheelbarrow. So anyways, yeah.
So, I guess I've always kind of said, like, the thing I learned about idolizing the beach, because in a mini sense, I felt like I got there at one point in my life. There's still sand. Like, it's still frustrating because you got sand in your shorts and things aren't going right. You're too hot today or whatever like that. So there's still the stresses of life. So, what would you say about, making sure you're constantly aiming upwards, and that culture shift, that I think there is some starting to happen there, but, not idolizing sitting on the beach so much.
Yeah, I think it's work-life integration is the most important thing. I mean, that's the real thing. I think it comes into, well, I think, let me back up. I think the most important thing is you don't build a business to work less.
Mm.
I mean, you just, you build a business to do more of the things that you like to do, I think, while you got to still hold on the things that you don't, and to impact lives and to pick your spots, right? Like, for example, for myself, I mean, I was doing coaching calls Monday through Saturday, 100 plus a week. Okay. And I had to pick up the phone one day and make a decision and call people and say, love you. Great. I've got other coaches. I'm backing it down to Monday through Wednesday. Picking my spots. I think it's a pick your spots game. I think it's, you got to accept, because I think a lot of people are realizing this. Unfortunately, 2021 fooled a lot of people. 2020, 2021 fooled a lot of people. And listen, money was falling off trees. And I don't know if I sympathize. Maybe I do. But there's some that still have not pulled out of that, right? And so I think it's a shift from the result and into who am I becoming by the work that I do? Who am I becoming by the work that I do? And then what's going to happen is, but then also having your targets and picking your spots of when you do, go spend time on the beach, or when you do spend time at the farm. And I'm out here at my farm home and was taking, 2.5 weeks off, but, popped on some calls today, right? Picking my spots. I'm typically out here on, Thursday night or Friday through Sunday every single week. We'll never go on vacation again. We don't want to. We've got a vacation an hour away from our home. But I think it's number one, you don't build a business to work less.
Mm-hmm.
You do not build a business, and a lot of people thought that. And B is really understanding work-life integration. And then finally, though, is seasons. And there are seasons you'll go through. I mean, I got my my farm weekends and then these 2 weeks, but this was a season where I did one vacation this year, and it was a ski trip, and that was it. Typically, and wife and I would do well, and I do the Tahoe event. I spend a week up there, but typically, we like four vacations all over the place. Well, I made a little bit of a sacrifice there because I was starting up three businesses. It's a season. Well, Then towards the end of the year, here I am looking at, okay, great. Next year's not going to be like that. I'll just spend more time at the farm, which are my vacations. But I think it's picking your seasons when the market gets tough, sitting down with either yourself or a significant other or family, friends, and letting people know too, because a lot of things people get thrown off by the lack of support of people around them and saying, listen, we're in a season. My wife and I sat down 2 years ago and I said to her, and she's just, I don't, not just because she's my wife, she's a remarkable operator. You don't grow by 70% in units. And, she runs a very profitable business. But I said to her, I says, hey, listen, this is our season. I said, we're going to have to go in all in and because the market's shifting, I could see it happening. And it's those type of conversations where you're on the same page because you can know what you got to do, but if you got that pressure or don't have that support or there's a conflict, doesn't matter what strategy or tactic you have. So,
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, well, it's funny you said it because I a little different, but I said it to my wife the other day. We had a lot going on, and just not that it was stress, but just definitely just everything everywhere. And I sat her down. I'm like, hey, look, our kids are at the age 7 and 10. They're in the events. I have a business. She's running a business. Like we just have a lot going on. Like that's the season we're in right now. Like we're gonna miss things from this season, especially when you look at the kids, right? When they're you go fast forward 10 years and we miss taking them to softball. They don't want to hang with us or whatever. And I like what you said about the season because I definitely, yeah, I mean, we were just,
well, here's a choice you make too, and your wife. So your wife, and listen, the hardest job is raising children or raising a husband. There are some women that do that full time, and I could never do that job, and not call it a job. It's just that is just the highest level. Don't get me wrong. My wife is really proud of her business and what she does, but does she have it tug at her of, gosh, spend more time? But the path she chose. I'm going to be an example to these two young ladies on how to be a lady leader and fend for yourself and make things happen. And my wife's that person. I mean, you saw in a post I put up there. She went goes and buys her building for what wasn't quite $1 million, $900,000. And I said, "Oh, cool. Can I buy in?" No. She went, I said, "Can I give you a couple $100,000?" "No, it's mine." "Okay." And it's that example. And her girls see that. And they go into her work. And so there's trade-offs. And it depends on I think the key piece that you bring up though, Chad, too, is that's where you and your wife and my wife and I, and it can evolve is what's important to us? What's our picture? What's our picture? Our picture isn't, okay, we go to Disneyland every summer for 7. I mean, shoot me. Right. And no disrespect to people that do that. I watch people do that and go, how do you do that? That's silly. But and then they look at me and go, what do you and your wife stand in the barn with 5 horses and just sit there and talk to the horses and pet them for hours? Yeah, we love it. So it's pick your path, pick your life, understand that there's everywhere I say yes, I'm going to say no, but does that yes serve my purpose and my mission?
Nice. I just had that same sit down with my wife too. Here, 2025, we have ABC going on. I'm looking to get into XYZ. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be around as much as I want to be, but when I'm home, I promise to turn it off.
Good
right? So I love that. We're kind of getting close on time. I have one more question for you.
Sure.
Our podcast is more for newer agents, right? Agents looking to get into the business. Any kind of advice that you give a new agent just starting out into the business?
Absolutely. First thing I tell them, and not because I coach teams, I coach broker owners too. Go join a team right now. Go join a team right now. And listen, I'm not saying go join a team, get everything, steal it, and leave. Actually, if you're smart, you'll go join a team and you'll see that all of the human resource and financial resource and the risk, many of them write a 6-figure check at the first of the month, whether you sell homes or not. Like they do, they're taking all that risk and you do what's best. Go join a team. Number one. Number two, I mean, sure, you can go out on your own, but guess what? If I had to start tomorrow, you know what I do? I would individual agent. I would door knock. I would cold call. I'd door knock 100 doors a day. I'd cold call 100 doors. I'd do an open house on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'd do one from 11 to 1 on Saturday and 2 to 4. And I do one from 11 to 1 on Sunday and 2 to 4. Because by the way, you don't get weekends, you earn weekends. Okay. And so you can go that route, and you can do market update videos, on your Facebook, your Instagram. You can call through your cell phone. You've got a database. Call through your cell phone. Let everyone do that. You can do that one. No problem. You can do it. Maybe you got a sphere. No problem. Or you can go on a team that's going to give you opportunities, and you're going to submit to the mission. Listen, just go. They have 50. I get paid. One of the reasons I get paid well is they're trying to figure out how to get people like you, new agents, just pick up the phone to people that raised their hand and gave their email and gave their phone number and said, yeah, I want to talk to someone about buying or selling a home. So in its simplest of terms, A, join a team. B, be a humble implementer. What do I do? What works? That works. C, do it. D, be held accountable. And E, game over. Your life will go. And guess what? You may stay there 2 or 3 years and go, well, I want to go out and be on my own. Go for it. You should. Okay. Now watch this. Here's what I will say. 90% of agents that leave a team never perform as well as they did when they were on the team. You see it all the time.
That's true.
So that's the best advice that I would give. And when something's not working that you've been advised to do, don't tweak it or try and do something different. Go back to your leader and say, I'm doing this, but you'll probably find either you're not doing enough of it, you're not doing it consistent, or there's some subtleties and nuances in the way that you're doing it. It's kind of like pro athletes. Pro athletes watch game film. By the way, I think Joe Burrow signed a contract. I got to say Burrow because I'm an LSU guy. I think Joe Burrow's getting $50 million a year. Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, who just won the game. He was another Heisman Trophy winner from LSU. They say he's so great because I remember he got the keys from the coaches back here at LSU, and I got to watch him. At 5 a.m., they let him into the freaking complex at 5 a.m. in college, and all the rest of the people came. How come? To watch film. Oh, wait, wins the Heisman Trophy. Now he's first-round draft pick. Okay, well, guess what? He got the keys to get in at 5:30 a.m. in the NFL. Oh, and guess what? Guess how he's doing? Wait, what's he doing? Oh, he's watching game film because he can still get better. So that's the big one right there. Humble yourself. Humble yourself.
I love the game film because, I saw your post. I think it was back in like the spring, but you had the stack of books that you've read, and I've definitely entered into the personal growth and development over the last year or two a lot more, and that's big pull to your community. It was from for that reason. Not many have that in conjunction with the business, and it's really ties to the emotions you said earlier. It starts there, but all that said, you look at game film, and you said in that post that you don't just read books, you go back and master the ones you've already read. So, how I'm kind of curious, like how many times have you gone back and read them, and like how often do you go, wow, I forgot about that, or I'm
I'll
not
give you
doing
one
that?
that's the most powerful, and Justin Haver, who you guys know is a legend. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, his best year, 60 agents closed 1,983 transactions without Zillow. He's been with me. This is year 9. Shadow Effect is a great book, and I remember I gave that to him in our first month or two coaching together. Next thing I know, he's got a box of them in the back in his trunk. He's handing them out to everyone. Shadow Effect. If I've gone through it once, I've gone through it 100. Heart of the Soul. If I've gone through it once, I've gone through it 100. I've spent 2 7-day events a few years apart with Gary Zukav. And notice this, you guys. I'm mentioning and the Power Now. Those 3 I've been through more than any, and they have been the key to my business growth because we've got to understand ourselves to be able to understand other people. I mean, and because other people show up as really a mirror to us. They're mirroring something back to us that we need to learn or recognize about self, and they teach us. And so, gosh, all 3 of those books, at least 100 times. I've spent less time in business books than I have in personal development books.
Have you read Meditations, Marcus Aurelius?
It's sitting on my printer right there underneath Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
I ask because Sunit definitely pushes me on that all the time, and I I'm about halfway through it now, but it's a tough read.
Oh, that's why it's over and over and over, and it will hit, and it'll get in your unconscious, and then moments will show up
Hmm.
where then you see that's the key piece. That's that state. You know, it's funny, and you may have heard me say this. I love the guys. I'm reading 52 books this year. Great. So you're getting a trophy for getting through books. I'm going to get a trophy and probably visit one book 52 times this year. It's the Bruce Lee principle, right? I mean, great. Are they handing out trophies for how many books you get through? I mean, come on, right? It's like I think people so much they're into quantity. In our industry is all about it. Quantity, quantity, quantity. Well, how about the quality of the information you're putting out there? Sure, I put out a lot, but I'm obsessed with the quality of it, right? Just everything that you do, the quality of the phone calling, the quality of the text messaging, the quality of taking the time and documenting everything in the CRM versus I'm going to call 100 people and I'll get some of it in the CRM. It's, you know, that's the piece there, man. Less is more. Less is more.
Love it, love it. And yeah, the shadow effect was turned on for me by that post, and what a book. I've recommended it to a few people since, and it's made an impact. That's a really, really good one. So anybody listening, highly recommend
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
So I might have already answered it earlier, but what's next for you? What are you most excited about in the coming years here?
I'm most excited about. No, I didn't answer this. What I am most excited about is continue to bring other people forward, and other people really shining. Listen, Nick and Preston and Sunit, they were all brilliant before me. I didn't make them brilliant, but being a part of something and so I'd say with them, right? Not I made them that because I did not. Um, Mike Benton in the mortgage space. Gosh, I don't want to leave people out. Travis Halverson, I'm a part of lifting the thing that Tony Hansen, who's got this great organization, but now in recruiting, and Carmen, who's got the agent training, who's a world-class pianist. So it's not like I'm lifting them up, but but riding alongside people who get to expand what they're doing and bring more to the world. That's what excites me more than anything, because it's not, listen, I'm in a for-profit business and I'll hold to what I charge. I hold to what I'm worth, but that's not my chase. I don't have to, right? I mean, I didn't want, could I keep going? Okay. I want to build to being able to buy a jet or buy this or that. Those things, listen, I got more than I could ever want. So it's just continue to support and serve people.
Love that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of the things, like, Chad first turned me on to you and your community, and I'm just super grateful for it. I've been in a ton of different rooms, and I was in the corporate world for 15 years, and I've never saw an organization where everybody just opened up their playbooks. Chad and myself as new team leaders, I'm like, okay, well, oh, you have to get this course or you have to get this. We go into your event and everybody's just opening. Here's exactly what you need to do. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, and we've only kind of been in your community for over, like, just a little bit over a year. And it's just so thankful for that. So I just want to tell you that personally.
Thank you.
One last ask. Like I said, Chad got set up with Reside. His big goal is to have you as his one-on-one coach. I know when we go to your events, you say, you're not taking on any more clients. I ask you to save one more seat for Chad. When he's ready, he's with Reside to get his team where it needs to go.
Good. All right. Well, I'll do that. We can make it happen.
Sounds great. Well, Jon, we super appreciate you jumping on today, taking the time while you're taking time away. You're pulling back over the last week or so, and you're still out here pouring out to everybody. So love that. Want to give you thoughts out to your daughter too. I hope all goes as smooth as it can there for you. And thanks again, man, for taking the time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jon.
We'll see you.